Imagine if you could easily find solutions to make your region or city smarter, greener, better connected, more social, and closer to citizens. The Interreg Europe Policy Learning Platform can help you access knowledge about the latest policy trends, discover expert-validated good practices from all over Europe, find solutions in our peer review, get tailored support from our expert team. We can connect you with the right people and organizations. Together, we will find ways to solve your region's or city's challenges. Start your policy learning journey today.
All right, welcome everyone. It's great to be here with you. I see already 46 participants, so that's great. Welcome everyone. Good afternoon for this webinar on innovation vouchers, one of our favorite topics with Marc here. So it's going to be 90 minutes together talking about latest insights and development regarding innovation vouchers. Okay. All right. So welcome everyone. So my name is Arnault Morisson. I'm one of the thematic experts in research and innovation at the Policy Learning Platform. And this afternoon we are going to co-moderate this webinar with Marc here. How are you, Marc?
I'm good, thank you, Arnaud, and welcome to everybody. Thanks for following us on this webinar. As Arnaud said, it's one of these topics that we hear a lot about, but even us as experts, we learn more each time we listen to the community. So we're looking forward to listening to our three speakers and the rest of you, obviously, during the different sessions we've got planned today.
Thank you, Marc. We also have with us Lotte here in the background for any technical issues you might have during this webinar. We're very lucky because we have three excellent speakers this afternoon. We have Jukka from Tampere, Finland. We have Susana from the Basque country in Spain. And we have Dorota from Lublin in Poland. So three very good speakers, talking about three different types of innovation vouchers. One is a more like place-based, more regional. Another one is more interregional, with in the Basque country, and one is more like at the national level and implemented at the regional level. So looking forward to this to those three very good practices from three different Interreg Europe projects. But before we move on to our presentations and speakers, first, let me tell you that you can use at any point the chat. We want to make it as interactive as possible. So if you have any questions for us or the speakers, please do not hesitate to use the chat. Little bit about Interreg Europe before we move on. So Interreg Europe is a unique program that aims to favor interregional collaboration through better policies. So what is interesting about Interreg Europe is that it covers all European countries, all European regions, and it provides a combination of projects with funding and different type of services. So in a nutshell, Interreg Europe is really all about a capacity building program to support policymakers, mostly regional policymakers, to design and deliver better policies, regional policies. And how does it do it? Is through the exchange of experience, good practices, and interregional knowledge. So there are two actions. So one is the projects, and the projects here, we have three different projects representing today. We have the project INNOBRIDGE, Bridges, and also F3 for Growth with us. The second call is going to be open next week, and it's going to be open until the 9th of June. So stay tuned for that. We're looking forward to seeing you in Stockholm as well next week. And the second pillar of the project is the policy learning platform. And the policy learning platform is all about capitalizing all the knowledge from the projects and to diffuse it to regional policymakers, as you are here listening to this webinar. So what about the platform? What do we do at the policy learning platform? You've seen the short video, but what we do is we provide capacity building through the exchange of knowledge, through access of people, and through expert support. So looking at knowledge, regarding knowledge, what we do, we have this good practice database where you can get inspired, a lot of good practices related to innovation vouchers, and also write policy brief stories. And we wrote our last policy brief with Marc on innovation procurement. So a very good one if you're interested in innovation procurement. Maybe Lotte can put the link in the chat. Also, we provide a space for policy learning and different type of events. So you can have access to this community of practitioners, and we organize events, workshops, and webinar as this one. And also what we do, we provide very interesting service, expert support services for free. We have the peer reviews. And I just heard this morning that we are going to organize our 50th peer review this at the end of the month. So that's great to hear. And we also organize matchmaking. Maybe Marc, you can tell us a little bit about those services, the peer reviews, and a little bit about the matchmaking as well.
Yeah, the main message for you to hear is that they are demand-led, i.e. we won't do anything unless you, the community, asks for them. And so you can see, given the number of requests that we've managed to, let's say, service, there is a strong demand and there is real value and impact. The peer reviews, it's a very simple concept. Regions have issues, they have challenges, and other regions may have already solved them. Experts may already have some answers for you. So it's a very short application process, very tailored to a specific need. It's you who sets the challenge. It's you who determines what initiative, what program you want to have a look at. And then with the policy learning platform team, Arnaud, myself, and our colleagues, we will find experts that can come and share their knowledge and experience with you. We spend 2 days together in your region, working with your ecosystem, innovation actors, working with your policymakers, politicians. We've had deputy prime ministers attend some of our events. So it can be quite high level. And at the end of the 2 days, you have a report with concrete recommendations. So it is very hands-on. It can lead to new initiatives between the regions and represented by the experts. It can lead to all manner of positive outcomes. So have a look at the examples. They're all on our platform. You can see what lessons have been learned by others. You may even find some answers to your questions given a similar thematic. So that's a 2-day process. Matchmaking sessions are much more shorter. They last an hour and a half. And it's for regions to try and connect with other regions, other policy actors that have got similar challenges, similar issues, but they're looking to take one step together. But first of all, they want to share knowledge between each other. So again, it's a demand-driven process. You have a request. We will find other regions that can map and match your challenges that we, in this case, classify as a matchmaking session. And policy help desks, much quicker, much shorter. You have a question, we hopefully have an answer. But you'll find good examples on the platform with the link you see at the bottom of this slide. Voila, Arnaud.
Thank
you. Very quickly.
It was very nice. Thank you, Marc. And to give you some examples of how the policy learning platform can help you, you can have a look at good practices regarding innovation vouchers. So this one is, I think, is quite interesting, the Seal of Excellence project. So Horizon 2020 project that were very good, but were not funded due to limited funding. But here with innovation vouchers, you can find those type of synergies between different type of fundings. We wrote a very nice stories on voucher schemes and how to implement innovation vouchers. So we recommend you to have a look, and you will see also over there like many different type of good practices regarding this topic. We have conducted some peer reviews, as Marc mentioned. One of those peer reviews was with the Upper Silesia region in Poland. And we look at university industries collaboration and how to design new voucher scheme in order to improve those university industry collaboration. And last but not least, we also wrote a very nice policy brief regarding vouchers for the competitiveness of SMEs. But what are innovation vouchers? So to give you and to give everyone a common background of what innovation vouchers are, they are small lines of credits, usually between 2,000 to 20,000 euros. They are provided by regional or national governments and mostly focusing on small and medium-sized companies, so SMEs, in order for them to purchase services from knowledge providers. You can think of universities, research centers, or even consulting firms in order to introduce new products, processes, services in their business operations. I mean, we know that SMEs sometimes have difficulties to have access to knowledge. So innovation vouchers is a way for them to quickly adopt new knowledge and technologies. There are three main objectives with innovation vouchers. The first one is really about stimulating the introduction of product, process, organizational, and service innovation in SMEs. The other one, you can think about promoting university industry collaboration and stimulation of knowledge transfer, between SMEs and universities, research centers. And the last one is to create those new type of networks between SMEs and different type of knowledge providers. In our stories, you can also hear voucher schemes implementing innovation vouchers. We also provide some type of recommendations, such as all actors in the scheme must benefit. The bureaucracy must be as light touch as possible. It has to be directly administered by a public agency, and it has also to respond to specific place-based challenges. So we recommend you to have a look at the stories we wrote. But without further ado, we are going to have a look at different good practices from different regions. The first one is going to be Dorota from Poland, Lublin. So we give you the floor, Dorota, and you have 10 minutes for your presentation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation, and good afternoon to all the participants. I hope you can see the presentation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like a full screen. Yes, no, it's perfect.
It needs some time. Yes, we have presented our innovation vouchers on national and regional level as the good practice of one of the Interreg Europe project we've been involved in. This was Bridges project. And well, why we talk about innovation vouchers? We have seen from our SMEs that they are not very proud to go for innovation projects because they were saying, okay, we are too small, we do not have enough capacity, financial and organizational, to fill all the papers and things like that. So they were thinking that going for R&D projects is very complex and complicated. And from the other hand side, there were many companies that said, we are so small, we do not feel like a good partner, proper partner to R&D institutions. We don't think that they are interested in having projects with such small actors as we are. So they were a little bit back behind the other companies that wanted to have the R&D, the innovation projects. And that's why for the new perspective, now it's old perspective, of course, 2014-2020, in Poland, there was a strong motivation to implement some instrument to raise these innovation activities among SMEs. And as you can see, one of the instruments between other instruments linked to innovation services for SMEs were innovation vouchers. In Poland, we have a decentralized system of delivering structural funds. So the bigger number of measures for SMEs and for innovation are delivered by the national level, by the Smart Growth Operational Program. And of course, the innovation vouchers were there. But some of regions, and Lubelskie among them, also decided to have let's say, complementary scheme, innovation vouchers. We call them usually small vouchers because they are smaller in terms of eligible cost and in terms of funding than those presented on a national level. How does it work, or better to say, how did it work? Because we have ended this the financial perspective. Well, first, the company has to define the problem, the challenge it has. Then, in competitive procedure, the company has to find an R&D partner. This can be a public or private one, and then together they have prepared their project application. And the submission of application were a little bit different on national and regional level. On national level, as you can see, there was actually an open call. So every 3 months there was a cut-off date, let's say, and the projects that have been submitted in that time were evaluated. On the regional level, we had a different scheme. It was like, let's say, regular a call for proposal, and it was once per year. The other difference between Polish, on the national level and on the regional level, innovation vouchers, was that on the national level we have 2 phases. For the first phase, in the first phase, you could get funding for buying the services from R&D institutions, but the second phase offered the money for initial investment. So it was something a little bit further than just the cooperation with R&D institutions. As you can see, we have ended actually with overlapping of those 2 instruments. Maybe during the discussion there will be a time to develop that issue. And then, of course, the implementation of the project, as you can see, and as Arnault mentioned already, you could purchase the R&D services for improvement of product service whatsoever. And as you can see, the distinction in terms of scope of support is more or less the same on the national and on the regional level. So just some benefits for SME, why innovation vouchers could be a good instrument. First, it was quick procedure comparing to other regular R&D projects or measures. The evaluation takes at least half a year or sometimes even longer. So here you have 90 days for all the process of evaluation. So this is something very beneficiary. And the second thing is simple application, and that was really visible on the national level. Regions, for the first time in the perspective 14-20, had the opportunity to introduce some measures for R&D projects. So we do not have that much experience, and we still, needed from our beneficiaries filling some papers and so on. So the application was simpler at national level. Low entry threshold, that was very important to our SMEs. And the SMEs appreciated this modular character of support at the national level. Some recommendations, some remarks that arise from the evaluations that have been done up to now. Well, the innovation vouchers really had the impact on launching the innovation in the companies. They really appreciated they could get this kind of support, and many of companies say that if not that support, they would never go for innovation project at all. So this is very, very important. It's not that that important for employment, actually, I want to say. The second thing is that on the regional level, as I've said, it was this innovation vouchers were less popular, I think, because of this bureaucracy, and we as regions were less flexible, I guess. So in our region, for example, from regional program, 22 projects have been financed, but 70 companies from our region were success at national level. What was very interesting that according to, comparing to other measures, very high percentage of SMEs said that thanks to innovation vouchers, they really started to think on innovation, and they really started the very first project, and they pushed then to another projects for innovation to other measures. So it means that it was really good instrument to show them they can make such kind of projects, and they are really assisted with what they want to do. There are always claims, of course, and for example, they say that flexibility of the scope of support was not that good, so they wanted to do some other things than it was. They could be according to measure rules, and indicators was something that you had to stick to, so it was always also some issues, but overall the companies said that innovation vouchers were really good instruments to them to start thinking of innovation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dorota. I found it very interesting that innovation vouchers can be used as a kind of a trigger mechanism, right, for SMEs to start engaging in research projects. That was super interesting. Marc, I see maybe you have a question.
Firstly, thanks to Dorota. Your benefits / recommendations, I think, were a template for many other regions to look at. Just one question, because you mentioned it early on, it just wasn't quite clear for me, is if we look at the regional level, to what extent do you have examples where the sort of perimeter of the innovation vouchers of scope is closely aligned with either the smart specialization priorities, or are we more so a sector or a domain focus, or are we, as you were highlighting in the end, looking at the cross, let's say more horizontal, facilitating innovation and access to R&D services?
If I got you, if I didn't get you wrong, you're asking me about linkages with smart specialization. Yes.
Yeah, it's a alignment. Yes.
If we are talking about innovation vouchers on regional level, yes, you had to prove, you had to show that the project you are presenting is linked to smart specialization that we have established in RIS3 strategy. Yes, yes, that's
excellent. Okay, thank you. And I think I can maybe just briefly answer a question that appeared in the Q&A, which was asked during your presentation, Dorota. I think it's Caroline Cruz who's saying, where do we find information? Indeed, innovation vouchers are part of innovation agencies, instruments and financial tools. In France, we have BPI, which is the French National Innovation Agency. They will have a range of grants and cascade funding vouchers. Some regions have them, not all, but yeah, you do have to go and look at your relevant funding agencies, either state or regional, and as regards whether there's a list who gives them out. There isn't a list. I will put later on in the chat when we have the discussion section a link to a Horizon Europe, and it's the funding portal site where they list all the current open cascade funding opportunities, which are linked to the type of innovation vouchers we will talk about. And just to answer Americo Vento's question, yes, all presentations will be made available in your follow-up briefing packs. So Dorothy won't send it, but we will send you the whole pack for today's presentations.
All right, thank you, Marc. Thank you so much, Dorota, for your presentation. Let's move now to Finland, Tampere, with Jukka and the Tampere Innovation Voucher Scheme. So Tampere, the floor is yours. And again, participants, please do not hesitate to send us questions.
Yes, hello, and good afternoon from Tampere, Finland, and thank you for the possibility of having a presentation here. Yes, my name is Jukka. I come from a company called Business Tampere, which is a regional development agency here in Tampere region. Yes, next slide, please. Just a few words before we go to the actual innovation voucher that Tampere, you may know, but it's the second largest urban area in Finland and also second largest business area in Finland. And we have about 30,000 companies here in Tampere region, meaning Tampere city and the surrounding municipalities. So Tampere and the surrounding municipalities are also our owners. So in a way we are a public company, but also acting as a private company too. Tampere as a city has been elected the most popular city to live and study for many years now. So it's a kind of a nice place to visit. If you sometimes visit in Finland, I strongly recommend to visit in Tampere. Yes. Next, please. About the industries here, just some background also for the innovation voucher, that we have a strong tradition of industry here. But of course, the world has changed, and we have recognized over 10 strengths and different business areas that are really strong here in Tampere area, and we call those kind of business ecosystems. And Business Tampere as a company is organizing activities and network around these ecosystems. Here you can see the current business ecosystems here. I would maybe mention here the intelligence machines ecosystem is very strong in Tampere. We have big companies manufacturing big machines. Also maybe safety and security during the last years has risen quite a lot, and also circular economy and clean tech, to mention a few. But this is just for background information, so let's go to the actual innovation voucher, because we have not too many minutes here. We carried out this innovation voucher project about 5 years ago, so it's not really totally new here, but it was the first one that was done here in Finland, at least in this scale, that we could really go into the practitioner level with the project. And we got funding from ERDF and also additional funding from Tampere city, and the whole budget was about 1.7 million euros, about which 1 million euros was granted as vouchers to companies, and the maximum amount per company was per voucher was 5,000 euros. One of the goals was to stimulate the companies for innovation activities, and also another important goal that we wanted to test and pilot was a digital platform to enable the administration and management of the whole system. So everything happened on this digital platform, and that was quite a big part of the whole project too. And that was already 5 years ago, so maybe today that would not be such a big thing, but at least then that kind of a system was never done before in Finland, so we were the kind of a forerunners. Over 200 vouchers were granted, and there were about 400 service providers that participated in the project, and they made this kind of called product cards on this platform, and then the voucher applicants could choose the service they wanted to use from this platform. So it was kind of a free choice, and we were aiming at fast and digital process. Next, please. So here you can see some of the main objectives. So it was an open and market-based system, and we were at least trying to be very dynamic and having as little bureaucracy as possible from the point of view of the companies. So there were some criteria that we used, but they were not very strict. So we were asking that that would be a kind of an opening to something new for the company, and would be supporting their growth and innovation. And also the theme had to be linked to one of these 5 mentioned themes there that we choose. Then maybe today these themes, if we would do this again, they would be a little bit different. But then we were talking about, for example, IoT, maybe today we would more talk about artificial intelligence and utilization of data, and digitalization of industry, and also green industry more. But those were the themes then. Yes, next please. This picture is trying to describe how the system worked from the point of view from the administrator, especially that I mentioned that there was as little bureaucracy as possible, but of course as administrators we had to do many things still manually, but this work was not seen by the companies using the system and an application or using the vouchers, and also the companies who were as service providers, they did not see this inside work that we were doing as administrators. So there was still manual work despite the digital platform, but the companies did not maybe see that as much as we did. Yes, next please. The link is just for information that you can see more information from this link, and also we made this kind of a playbook which would be as an instruction for the other organizations that would do this later, and I know that it has been also used and seen quite a lot. There's also a video, but we are not going to see it now, but there is a link for you later on this presentation that you can see it later and watch it if you like. It's a 2-3 minutes video. Then there was next slide. We have some results. Still, I mentioned about a little bit over 200 vouchers, and we had quite good results. We made an investigation, of course, afterwards, and asked the companies what kind of impact they have had with the voucher, and here you can see some of the results. Of course, it's not always simple to say that what happened because of the voucher and what happened because of some other things, but at least voucher was involved with these results quite a lot. Even some new jobs were created due to voucher activities. Yes, this was quite shortly. Was there still something? There was the link to the video, I think, on the next slide. Yes. So you will get this presentation afterwards, and recommendations, of course, that some are quite alike with what Dorota said in her presentation, but at least these things would be important when planning this kind of a project. That, of course, it should be in line with the national and regional strategies, and then the bigger the volume is, the better it would be to have some kind of a digital system and not to do everything manually. This was open for all companies, both applicants and service providers. And about the service providers, maybe that kind of a notice that it's important to have good quality service providers and enough good services available for the companies to apply. We did not also rank applications in any order, so we granted the vouchers either by applying order, or we also tried lottery system, that because there were more applications than what we had euros for this project. So in that way we also avoided kind of a manual work, and actually it was not legally even for us possible as Business Tampere to make that kind of a ranking. So these were the options that we had actually, that we could grant the vouchers. But this was shortly my presentation, and if there are questions, I'm glad to try to answer.
All right, thank you so much, Jukka. I actually have a question, because you mentioned 400 service providers, and that sounds like a lot for me. And you mentioned little criteria. So could you briefly tell us what kind of screening were you doing regarding those service providers to accept them? Were there like some type of screening done?
Yes. So I mentioned that the service providers could prepare a product card or service card into the digital system, and one company could make as many product cards as possible there, and that was one part of our manual job as administrator, that before these product cards were published, we had to, of course, check them, and sometimes we had to ask for more information from service providers. So we had given them, of course, beforehand some kind of instructions that how the product cards should be, and most of them were according to the instructions, but sometimes we had to do a little bit extra work to ask for more information, but very rarely we had to decline any product cards, because if we wanted more information, they quite almost every time they gave it. So.
All right, thank you, Jukka. Marc?
Yeah, again, thank you, Jukka. We've got some good lessons. Your last bullet point made sure I stayed awake right till the end. So it's always good to give some good information. The ranking issue, I wonder if that's only possible when you've got relatively small vouchers, 5K vouchers, you can go for the non-ranking. But the question is there some sort of eligibility check beforehand, have you filled in the form correctly and things like that? And
yes, yes.
Okay.
That kind of eligibility check there was that the application that the company made digitally, it was either accepted or declined
by the machine.
That was the only one, and like 95% of the applications were accepted. The application form, digital form, was prepared so that already there they had to fill in certain criteria that if we can say that if they were able to send the application, it was almost every time eligible. Yes.
Yeah. No, I think that's interesting how the use of the platform can speed the process up, as Dorota said, and I can see her nodding that this, facilitates and makes the business feel like it's, a win-win scenario for them.
Yes, and there was a connection from this system, for example, to check that the company has, for example, paid
their
taxes, duties and taxes and so on, the official things.
Okay, and one last question, it's something we can come back to later, but when you mentioned these service providers, I wondered, were they proactive in promoting this scheme because they were eventually going to perhaps benefit? Did you find them as willing partners to then promote the Tampere Business Innovation Vouchers themselves?
Yes, they did. They did, of course. Some of them were quite active because they saw that after this one small project with the customer, they can continue their own business.
So for you, it's a good partnership. There's a good partnership that you can create between you, the service provider, and then an SME.
Yes.
Good. Okay. Thank you, Jukka. The question that we've just seen on the, well, some of you may have seen, some of you might not have seen. The question to you, Jukka: how do you verify the quality of the outcomes?
We bought like an outsider company to make this outcome survey, and that was quite a large survey that they made among the companies that have used vouchers and also the service providers. So quite a big percentage of the companies really answered that.
Good.
But of course, we had to do this during the project still. So it would be interesting if that kind of a survey could be made maybe 2 years after the project has ended, or even now. It would be interesting to see where are the companies now that then used this voucher 5 years ago. That would be okay.
Another follow-up survey. Okay, thanks, Jukka. Back to you, Arnaud.
Thank you, Marc.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jukka. There were also some questions in the chat, so let me ask you this question. And I think there is another question that we can use during the moderated panel discussion with all of our presenters. So the questions just is at the end, an invoice is issued by the provider to the voucher recipient. Does this mean that the amount to pay the invoice is paid to the SME beneficiary? So the question is about who received the voucher at the end? How do you pay the service provider? Do you pay the SME? Who is going to pay then the service provider?
We paid the amount to the service provider after the action that they had agreed with the company using the voucher had been done. So the application, the company who applied for the voucher, they reported they had 3 months time to do what they wanted to do with the voucher, and then they reported to us that now it's been done, and that was in the system a sign for the system to send the money to the service provider. This was also made, it was not really very simple thing to do in the beginning, but it was, we tried to automate these tools. So the digital system informed the payment system that now you can pay for the service provider when we had got the acceptance from the company who had used the voucher. I don't know if I could explain this.
No, I think it's quite clear. Thanks, Jukka. Let's move on now to the Basque country, Spain. Susana, the floor is yours, and you have also 10 minutes for your presentation. And participants, again, do not hesitate to use the chat.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm just sharing, just a moment. I can't put it in. Sorry, it's because I can't access to the button of my screen.
Oh, okay. So maybe Lotte, if you can give some good advice. I think if you go up, there is the little symbol as well next to save that you can use.
I think if you go to animaciones.
Yes, just a moment.
Or even more above, you also have a little sign there. So you have the red little thing on top, the red little menu, and then completely on the left, you have this little symbol of playing. Or above.
Above in the red ribbon with
up where?
And if not, you could also try to push Control P, I believe.
Yes. Control, sorry?
Control P. I'm not sure, it might actually, no, that's
no.
Print. Did I share it for you?
Yes.
Okay, yes, maybe
sorry.
it's simpler. No. Meanwhile, maybe Marc, you can ask the questions in the chats about oh no, it's good. Perfect. Yeah. No, we are here.
Okay. Well, sorry about that I couldn't access to my top part of the screen. Well, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm Susana Larrea from SPRI, that is the Basque Business Development Agency. And we are the coordinators of the Basque Digital Innovation Hub. And we have launched an innovation vouchers scheme 3 years ago to facilitate the access to this initiative that I'm going to present now in a short way. Next, please. So, well, the Basque Digital Innovation Hub is an initiative that responds to our Smart Specialization strategy. to support the business, the companies, especially the SMEs, experimenting with and incorporating with digital and sustainable innovations. It is a connected network of assets and services to give different services as trainings, research, testing and validation of the technologies that we are offering, and it's especially focused or directed to SMEs. It was awarded with the Seal of Excellence by the European Commission under the Digital Europe program and recognized as high quality project, but we didn't got the funding. Nevertheless, we have been working for at least 5 years ago, and we already had our regional program. Next, please. This is the structure of this of our initiative. You can see around this circle all the owners of the assets that are offering these services, and these are technology centers, universities, professional training centers, and they are the owners, as I said, of these infrastructures that are offering the services. All the assets are organized in 8 thematic nodes, as you can see. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because you are going to have this presentation later. And as I said, the goal of this initiative is to provide the companies the technological capabilities that they need to advance in and be more competitive. Next, please. We are also being helped by all the ecosystem in the Basque country, not only to give services of test before invest, but also to provide services of skills and training, support to find investments and innovation ecosystem and networking. And you can see all the players that are helping us. Next, please. The way it works is, well, first of all, we need a company that has to be, well, a company that wants to innovate and to incorporate these technologies. They can have a look to all the assets catalog that is published in our website. As I said, this catalog has more than 250 assets. And, but we think that it's very difficult for companies, especially SMEs, to choose which is the best or the more interesting asset. So we think that having a coordinated support and we have like different coordinators for the different nodes that can give this help as a one-stop shop for the companies. And we found that it was difficult for them to reach us. So 3 years ago, we launched this innovation vouchers program that is called VDH KONEXIO, that I'm going to explain it nowadays. Next, please. This is our program. It's called the VDH KONEXIO because it's to connect the companies with our initiative, and it's what it supports is it gives a technical support for companies either to develop an action plan to increase the capacity of incorporation of these technologies, or they can also perform a proof of concept. The projects have to be focused in one of the technologies that we are providing. And this is the list of technologies. It could be additive manufacturing, cybersecurity, smart and connected machines, advanced materials, flexible robotics, digital electricity grids, or medical devices and digital health. So if a company would like to incorporate one of these technologies, or at least try or see if it's available for them, they can apply for this program. Next, please. These are the characteristics. So, well, in this case, this is the last year edition. It had a budget of 1.1 million euros. There are no refundable grants, and it's a successive granting scheme on a first come first basis. And we also have an evaluation process. we are in next slide we will see the number of applications, but the program has been increasing the number of applicants and also projects, and it's as you can see, it's 80% of subsidy of the eligible expenses with this maximum amount, that is 12,000 euros in the case that they collaborate or they hire only one agent, 20,000 euros in the case of 2 or more agents, and this is the interregional cooperation characteristic that we can also help companies, Basque companies, to have access to another European digital innovation hubs. In this case, the amount is up to 15,000 euros because we can give them 3,000 euros for travel expenses. The eligible expenses are only the recruitment cost for the agent of the BDIAs that has been chosen by the company. And nowadays, they can apply for 2 projects or in it per year. At the beginning, we started only with 1 project per company, but nowadays they can have 2 projects because we think that the technologies are so different that perhaps a company could have a project of cybersecurity and another of additive manufacturing or whatever. They are considered under minimis grants, and here to focus or to give more information about the interregional collaboration. These are the different digital innovation hubs of the different regions that you consider, with whom we have already signed a memorandum of understanding and are the ones that are eligible for this interregional cooperation. So far, we didn't have any of these kind of projects. It's a pity, but it's true that the network of European digital innovation hubs is being launched. We are now launching it, so we hope that from now perhaps we will have more success in this interregional cooperation. Next, please. And now to give you some the numbers of the success of this program. We started, as I said, 3 years ago in 2020, and we had 52 applications, and we support to 48. On 2021, 83, and only one was failed, so we support 82. And last year we had 106 applications, and it was a pity because last year we had to fail, or they were rejected 10 projects, but it was because of the budget. I mean, not because of the quality of the projects. So now we are preparing the 4th edition for this year, and we are also having 1 million euros and well, this is our program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I forgot this last slide that I added to my presentation. That why to explain just why this program has this international or interregional cooperation is because we think that being internationally connected to another digital innovation hubs, I think it's a good opportunity to stimulate this interregional cooperation, and that companies from the Basque Country can start cooperations with another regions. In the mode that we have already signed with all these digital innovation hubs, the areas of cooperation are exchange of information and experiences of good practices, to find synergies and common and sharing these infrastructures, and also to develop joint initiatives. So as you can see, this has been made to increase or to foster this cooperation. And next, please. I think that is the finish. Yes, that's the end. So
excellent. Thank you so much, Susana. That was really interesting as well. I'm just wondering, how did you identify the other digital innovation hubs? I mean, was it based on some reciprocity, on complementarities, or did you identify them?
Well, at the beginning, we started contacting with the DIHs from the regions with whom the Basque government have already signed like a big MOU in among the two regions.
Mm.
So, for instance, with Lombardy or with Wales or with some regions that from many years ago we have been working as a regional level.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, when we were preparing the proposals for the Digital Europe program, a lot of other digital innovation hubs from different regions contacted us because they knew that we had been working already and well, since, I don't know, perhaps 6 years. So as they knew that our digital innovation hub was like fully operational, and they knew that we were quite well organized, and but I don't want to say that we are, I mean, but it was their approach.
And are they thinking about doing similar initiatives with having this type of interregional innovation voucher in their digital innovation hubs? Are you aware of that? Or no?
As far as we know, no. We are like in this case, we are the more innovative ones.
Interesting. Thanks, Susana. Marc, do you have a question before we move on to panel discussion?
That was exactly the question I was going to ask, Arnaud. So it shows we are on the same wavelength. And it's interesting, Susana, you said at the end there, they haven't done a reciprocal tool or similar. That's maybe something to work on. But also, I think you highlighted it in your last remark, the newness of the Digital Innovation Hub means that perhaps this international dimension isn't yet very strongly represented in the SMEs. Are you planning to do anything to accelerate that interest or awareness for your 2023 program?
Well, we know that it's difficult. I mean, we know that well, at the beginning it was difficult for companies to contact us. So, and we are very close to them. So we think that it's difficult to encourage them to go abroad. But we have, since we launched this program, we have continued making like more contacts with other DIHs. In fact, we have now with the closest region, that is Aquitaine from France and Navarre from Spain. We have like the Euro region MOU. We are having quite constant meetings in order to identify which are the next steps we could do to encourage or to foster this collaboration. And also we have been, we are now in a big network of DIHs that are focused on manufacturing, that is called the EDIHs for Manu, where 25 regions are taking part. So we are starting, as I said, we are starting now to encourage or to have more collaboration. And I think that 3 years ago, when we started with this program, it was too soon for the rest of the DIHs because perhaps they weren't working yet.
Okay, that's understandable.
All right,
thanks.
Thank you. Jukka, it would be great if you can turn on your camera so we can see each other. And now we are going to delve into the panel discussions. So Marc has prepared a list of questions for you regarding innovation vouchers, and from what you just presenting, and also from what participants have asked in the chat. And I think one of the starting questions is a question from Giorgio, and he was asking how is the adequacy of the voucher amount with the service offered assessed? So how do you assess, let's say, the the quality of the service offered and so on? Is there like some evaluation monitoring that you are doing to make sure that the voucher amount is really right for the service offered? Maybe Dorota, do you have any insights on this question?
Yeah, we do actually, because the National Agency for Business Development that run those call for proposal for innovation vouchers, but also we on the regional level, we've made some evaluations of different measures, different types of support for SMEs. So the beneficiaries of innovation vouchers, if we look to different measures and the beneficiaries of those measures, so the innovation voucher, it was the highest percentage of companies that evaluated the cooperation with R&D sector very well and well. It was like 80–70% of companies said it was really great to cooperate with those people from academia. While in other measures, it was slightly lower, like 60–70%. So I can say that maybe that's how to say, maybe it's the effect of freshness. You know, if you don't have the contacts with the R&D sector. I said in my at the very beginning, there were the small companies were always complaining we are not good partner for R&D institutions. So then if you go to R&D institutions and they are open to your challenges, you always will say, yes, we are satisfied with the cooperation. But the second thing is that those companies still have the contacts with R&D institutions. So it's not only one project, and that's okay, but they are collaborating more and more with R&D institutions. So that can be evidence for success of innovation vouchers in Poland.
Thank you, Dorota. What about you, Jukka? You mentioned at the end some evaluation and monitoring that you were doing. So how do you ensure that the quality is there?
Yes, we also asked if this amount 5,000 euros was or what the companies thought about it, and it was according to that survey, the 5,000 euros was quite okay sum for this kind of project, but for R&D institutions and universities, maybe that was too small, that they would have needed a bigger voucher to do projects. But for the companies, that was quite good. And sometimes the service providers were ready to do a little bit more work than was worth 5,000 euros. So that they saw that this would be beneficial for them to continue the business relationships with the company that they were doing the project with.
All right, thank you, Jukka. And maybe Susana, if you have any insights on this question.
First of all, with our program, companies can contact or have access to the owners of all the assets that belong to the Basque Digital Innovation Hub. All these members, they are members of the BDIH, have already passed through an evaluation process to incorporate these assets. First of all, because they have to be excellence, because of the excellence or the experience, and all the service providers are the owners of and members of the BDIH. So first of all, this is one thing that are not any company or any provider. So the providers of the services can only be the 33 members of the Basque Digital Innovation Hub. And apart from that, then we make an evaluation of each project, and they have the evaluation criteria. First of all, is the value that can have this project has to for the company, the quality of the proposal, and also what is the motivation for the company to incorporate this technology to their process or to their product. So we evaluate these three aspects by an external evaluator. And so that's how we ensure that the project is a quality project.
All right, thank you. Marc, I give you the floor for questions.
Thanks. Just in the discussion, we had a question from Elisabetta saying, who at a national regional level provides such innovation vouchers in Italy? Well, I don't know the answer. Arnaud probably doesn't know the answer, but I was saying that
I have one.
I've seen you, but I'm saying if there's anyone else from Italy that can share some experience, particularly at the national level, we know that the Innovation Agency, Vinatilia, has those type of tools, as do French and other ones. And we heard from Dorota the Polish example. So your National Innovation Agency would have these type of tools, but if anyone else from Italy's got that. There's quite a technical question in the Q&R, which it's about, will the simplified cost option be a mandatory approach in the Innovation Voucher 21-27? Don't know that off the top of my head, and it seems a technical one to risk giving the answer. So we'll see if we can find that answer for you. Two elements of reflection and then a question. I mean, the word innovation voucher, as we see, means something different in each of the three examples, and I think that's one of its strengths for all of you here, thinking of what you can do, how you can convince a funding agency or your politicians to release money. It can be really adapted to your needs. I mean, I think that's a good selling point. The scale of the voucher can also be interesting. Within the Horizon Europe, we see a lot of projects, programs now that include something called cascade funding. It's another way of looking at innovation vouchers, but it's using a third-party pot of money, i.e. the European Commission, and that's why they will use the acronym FSTP, which means, financial support to third parties. And it's quite it's important to have these technical terms because they have an impact on the eligibility. But so some of you will be aware of programs within Horizon Europe. DG Grow has used FSTP in their Euro clusters. I know a number of the people on this will know about those calls, and it's nice to see friends and people from the cluster community on the call. So that's one area you can look at the vouchers, how they're used. And equally, I think DG Regio is using the FSTP model in their I3 program, which is supporting investment by SMEs in value chain. So it's quite thematic. So it is really a topic that has many different facets and many different opportunities. I'll put in the chat, which later, the terms for those who want to look at the FSTP just for your information. And there's also a website on the EU funding portal, which I'll put up shortly, which lists all the current Horizon Europe projects that have an element of cascade funding. So the rules are different from different calls, but some of you say, what are the different innovation vouchers available? Well, those innovation vouchers that are distributed using European funds, you have to publish the call on this platform, so that could be of interest. So all of that is just information. The question I think would be interesting to our panel now is, we heard some of you talk about the way you promote and publicize. To what extent, I mean, a number of you work for business agencies or regional agencies, to what extent do you use external intermediaries for developing or promoting the innovation vouchers to your SMEs? As we know, they can sometimes need some convincing. You don't want to announce a call that then doesn't get the funding doesn't get taken up because it doesn't look good with your funding agency. So any good practices on how you can promote and publicize the different innovation vouchers you mentioned? Who wants to start? Susana, you're looking keen.
Well, in our case, we have quite easy because we have the help of all the 33 members of the BDIJ that are also the suppliers of the services. So they encourage their clients, their companies, and also from the regional business development agency from SPRI, that where I work. We are also organizing like different first of all, a newsletter, of course, that is very, very normal, but also we are organizing some sessions that are called, we call them deep dives, where companies can, they are organized by these service providers in their premises. So the companies can go and they can have, first of all, they have like a theoretic information about the technologies, but also they can see how the assets are working and how they can be helped. So after these sessions, it's true that the companies have this awareness or this knowledge on how can they can be helped. So it's a way of also having more customers or clients for our program.
Thank you. Dorota, or do you have any advice on that?
In our case, well, I must say that our national agency is very well known. So they have their own ways to cooperate and have this publicity. In our region, what we have done, it was this were the meetings before each call for proposal, in advance, of course. So there were the meetings where anybody could come, could attend and ask for the rules and how to prepare to make the project proposal. But we also cooperate with some institutions that support business in our regions. So we tried to, to give them information about those vouchers so that they can then deliver this information to the members actually. And what we also have done, thanks to Bridges project, this Interreg project, we have done some meetings with companies that were interested in those vouchers for innovation. And after the meetings, we were capable to convince our intermediate body to make some adjustments. For example, time scale, because people said, okay, we will not be ready till May. Could you please shift this call for proposal till June? And actually the intermediate body did that. They postponed the call for proposals to enable those companies who were interested to participate in this call for proposal. They also the minor changes, but they tried to adjust to the company's needs. So I think that's something that Jukka had mentioned. It is really important, to be as flexible as you can be to adjust to the needs of final beneficiaries.
Jukka, you mentioned the role of the service providers being an active promoter. Are there any other intermediaries that you have used or you find useful?
Well, we were quite independent about the communication of the project, that we did it mostly, I would say, ourselves to the companies, because we are, as a business development agency, we have a good network and good contacts to local companies at least. So we did not use much external help with the communication, but of course we did the homework beforehand quite well, and we organized some information events for the companies before the project started. Where we used external help, which I maybe did not mention, was the legal part of the project. That before the project we made quite a profound survey or preparation from the legal point of view, that that what is like that we do not break any laws with this. And also during the project, we all the time were every now and then asking for legal help.
Well, that's
to make sure that everything goes by the book.
Yep. Well, that's one of the issues that one of our participants, Giorgio Trentin, has asked in the discussion, said, what about respect of state aid rules connected to vouchers? Do any of our three panelists have an answer?
Well,
yeah, Susana.
In my case, in our case, I had already mentioned in my presentation that our program is under minimis. So only companies that yes, that haven't used this 250,000 yes in 3 years can apply. So is the way we do.
Yeah, I guess for Jukka that doesn't apply to the 5,000 voucher, but Dorota, Jukka, do you have any views on the state aid rule implication?
Yeah. It's for, let's say, for the regional vouchers and for the first phase on the national level. So this is the purchasing of the services of R&D. This is the minimum, the minimis. So just like Susana said, but when it comes to the second phase of the innovation vouchers on a national level, so that means that you have this first implementation, the regular rules of state aid can apply. So if you are in the region, you know, with that can get 50% financing, okay. If not, that depends on the so-called map of we call that in Poland map of state aid. So different regions have different levels.
Thresholds.
Yeah, exactly. But that's only for investment phase, not for the service phase. Service phase is on de minimis.
Okay. Jukka, have you dealt with this issue for your 5K grants, vouchers?
Sorry.
I say, has the state aid rule been relevant in your particular innovation voucher scheme?
Yes, our vouchers were also de minimis support for the companies. So in that way, yes. Yes.
Okay, well, that's hopefully clarified the point for you, Giorgio. Okay. In terms of match funding, and I only saw it in your presentation, Susana, where you said it's 80%, and I think that means that the SME has to provide the missing 20%, and Jukka, I think your grants vouchers were 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. Dorota, do you have any match funding? I couldn't recall seeing that.
The match funding is on the side of the company. So in case of R&D, purchasing of R&D services, it was like 15% from the own sources, and you could get up to 85% of co-funding from European funds.
Yeah. Indeed, that's one of the criteria in some of the European funding cascade. I mean, one of our participants has kindly put the link up for the I3 call, which has 70% European funding, and therefore 30% is to come from the SME. So I think, again, it shows the nature of the capacity to tailor. Question to the panel: is there a barrier for match funding levels that you could share with us, or is it not a barrier for launching and getting SMEs to participate? Is there a sensitivity threshold? I don't know if any of you done this follow-up survey work that says, you know, we didn't apply because the co-funding rate was too low. It's never too high.
I'm not sure if I got it. Right. Do you mean about the minimum threshold that you?
Do SMEs struggle to find the match funding that could be 15%, could be 20%. So are there barriers for SMEs to maybe not be able to find the match funding you require?
I don't know. I wouldn't say that, because if you are, if you desperately want to make the R&D project, and you really know that innovation can boost your business, you will find this money, I don't know, from the bank or somewhere else. And what was interesting to us, that when we have made the evaluation before the program started, to know how much, what should be the minimum threshold for the innovation vouchers, many companies said yes, it has to be very, very low. So at the regional level, we had this threshold like 3,000 euros, and nobody actually bid for that level. The average co-funding from the innovation vouchers was like, let me see my notes, 30,000 euros. So actually we had this threshold very, very low, and it didn't how to say, we didn't have to have this very low threshold, because nobody used this. Actually, everybody used a higher amount of eligible costs and high amount of the project. So that means that actually the co-financement, the own resources that the companies needed, was not that big problem as we even thought before the project, the program started.
Okay, thank you. Susana or Jukka, any comments on the matched funding threshold?
Well, in our case, we think that both the service providers and also the companies are quite happy with the amount, because it's enough to have this first connection with these technologies, and to have this assessment on if this technology is suitable for them, not only in the technical but also in the economic way. And so for them it's enough to have this first approach, and if they want to go further and they want to develop a research and development project, we have another big programs from the Basque government where they can apply. So this is like a first connection, first start or first step to see if they can decide if they can go further or not. So for us, the amount is quite good, and also for the service providers, it's also a good way, because in the past they usually give this assessment for free before they get this customer. So in our region, I think both sides are quite happy.
Very happy, yeah. Okay.
Yes, I would also say that it depends. 100% voucher was good in a way that we also had some companies using the voucher that did not even have any cash flow yet. So the only demand was that the company has to exist.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But on the other hand, of course, if you demand, for example, 20% own funding or side funding, that might change the average type of company using the voucher a little bit to that direction, that maybe the companies that already have more cash flow and have been acting longer, that are not really, at least recent startups anymore. They are more the type of companies using the voucher then. So it depends what you want with the voucher.
Well, thank you. Arnault is going to tell me we've run out of time, so I'm just going to make one last remark. I think, as I said at the beginning, the innovation tool is quite a flexible tool, and Jukka's just highlighted it quite relevantly at the end there. Depends what you want to do. You know, if you want to kickstart the smaller SMEs to launch innovation services, start with small, make it easy, digital, first come, first serve. As you go up the scale, you know, we see in Susana in the Basque country and Dorota in Poland, you can add complexity, you can make the vouchers bigger. It really is some flexible tool for you to adapt to your innovation ecosystem needs and SME needs. So that's all I would like to say. And Arnaud will thank you, but I'm thanking you now for your three valuable contributions. Arnaud.
Thanks, Marc, and this was a great summary indeed. So it's time to close this webinar. Let me thank our participants. Many thanks for attending this webinar. Many thanks, of course, to our speakers. Dorota, Jukka, and Susana, that was great of having you with us. We will write a short follow-up article on this webinar and on the key insights of this webinar. And we will share with you and participants and will be online very soon. Thanks so much. Please do not hesitate to ask us any questions, and please fill out the survey and tell us if you have some topics that you are very interested in that we could look at in our next events. Thanks so much. Thanks for clapping and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.